UFC 282 just recently wrapped up. I'm going to give you guys my reaction and breakdown to the entire card. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you're new, subscribe. And let's jump right into this thing. The first fight of the night, it was Cameron Saaiman and Steven Koslow. Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow, the Koslow side, lost the fight. Saaiman, TKO win. Koslow was gassed at the end of it. He took the fight on short notice. I'll say this. Up until that illegal knee, it was a pretty damn competitive fight. And I feel like that illegal knee shot that Koslow ate gassed him. After that, he seemed totally finished. His gas tank seemed to have dropped like 30%. Clean win for Saaiman. He was very apologetic about the knee. As it happened, even Saaiman like totally was willing to back off. So as a martial artist, you got to give mad respect to the Saaiman side. Koslow, short notice, not an easy out. Had moments of success and was looking good early on. At 21, though, Cameron Saaiman's a damn good fighter. He's developing still. I like his abilities. The kid doesn't break. He keeps coming with pressure. Great gas tank. And a gas tank like that at 21, that's going to carry you, I think, fairly far. So I'm excited to see what he does moving forward. Tough situation for Koslow, who took it on short notice and gave a good out. Ultimately, Saaiman with the TKO win with less than a minute left in that third and final round. Good stoppage by the ref. I mean, Saaiman was all over him, and there was nothing left really for Koslow. He was gassed out. Next fight on the card, TJ Brown worked Erik Silva. It wasn't close. I thought Erik Silva would look a lot better with the grappling, but Brown just bullied him the whole fight. He ends up getting a submission, arm triangle, taps Erik Silva out. There was nothing left for Erik Silva. He was getting worked over from the top. He was gassed. And like even when he was in these bad spots, he wasn't exploding to get out. He seemed kind of lackadaisical, waiting for his perfect opportunity that was just never coming. On the feet, he was nearly, rocked and hurt bad. I mean, he was rocked and hurt, but he wasn't completely, out on his feet. Early, though, TJ Brown cracked him. And Silva just didn't have the stand-up game. His strikes look kind of awkward at times. He throws good power with his offense, but like he doesn't bring his shots back well, and he tends to be off balance, and then he's just getting totally controlled on the ground. TJ Brown from Arkansas got himself a clean win and showed, listen, he's a UFC vet, and this new dude on the block who actually is 35, so he's not a young cat in the game. He's not ready for that UFC caliber, at least not the TJ Brown caliber. And for Silva, his ceiling, we just saw it. He's not really going to be able to bounce, back majorly from this. Even if he gets a couple wins, it'd be extremely hard at 35 to become any sort of a contender, especially as comfortable as he looked just staying on his back with Brown working him over from the top. TJ Brown, good win. Unfortunate performance for the Erik Silva side. Let's keep running. Next fight on the card, Billy Quarantillo and Alexander Hernandez. Listen, Hernandez early was looking nasty. And I was like, wow, 45 might be his money weight class. Later as the fight goes, Quarantillo, blood all over his face. He turns up and he ends up stopping Alexander Hernandez, ripping him with big shots. It was a really good performance for Billy Q. Was able to, overcome a lot of adversity early. He was getting touched up. He was getting beaten up a little bit. Seemed like he was also getting out-muscled. The first round was all Hernandez. And then Billy Q's second round turned up. I'm telling you, when the blood starts coming down, some animal comes out of Billy Q and he's able to shift it into another gear. Hernandez starts slowing down. The weight cut definitely could have got to him, and he was just beaten by a dude who I really think wanted it more also. But Billy Q is just a pretty solid fighter. I mean, even the Shane Burgos fight was an awesome back and forth. He beats a Hernandez, and Billy Q will still remain in that featherweight division as, a fun guy, not really in that top half towards the ranking side or really, that top 15, but a tough guy for these guys on the come up. And I mean, who knows? He might eventually get a shot towards the rankings again. And he's always entertaining. He's a super fun guy to have on the card. So I really enjoy Billy Q's style. Hernandez is fun to watch too. I do think that he'll stick around, but his ceiling is, I think, seen here. Billy Q with a nice W though. It was sick to see him overcome some adversity and work over Hernandez. Next fight, Chris Curtis and Joaquin Buckley. Listen, that first round was all Buckley. And it seemed like a Buckley fight. He looked clearly faster. He had higher volume, was touching up Curtis with shots. It takes a heavy punch from Curtis, and he's going to drop you. He drops Buckley, follows up with some ground and pound, and the ref obviously there to save Buckley. The difference is like Curtis doesn't throw a ton of shots, but when he does let the hands fly, they're accurate and they're going with some serious intent. And him putting Buckley down and out holds his position, towards the, 15 in the rankings, so the real back end. Buckley coming up was a tough challenge, though. This wasn't an easy fight for Curtis, but the one punch gets it done. Power of Curtis is real. I think he's a fun guy to watch. Buckley's still fun as hell to watch, but he's not on that rankings level. Amavov in the last one, now Chris Curtis here. I think Curtis is in a spot where I still feel like they might match him up with somebody outside of the rankings, but if they do give him someone ranked, it'll be interesting to see how he fares because he does get beaten on the volume side. Hermansson kind of laid that blueprint. Granted, has the real power that if he lands, he can end things against anyone, and ultimately did that against Buckley here. So good win for Chris Curtis. It was a fun fight. Bit of a comeback knockout for a guy that seemed to be down on the cards. Next fight on it, Edmen Shahbazyan and Lungiambula. Shahbazyan gets a much-needed knockout win. His kicks looked incredible tonight. He was touching up Lungiambula. Lungiambula would just throw wide shots from range. Shahbazyan, I think, showed the capabilities we all knew he had. The takedown defense was also on point. Lungiambula really couldn't get a hold of him. Shahbazyan was doing his thing from range, really digging to the body beautifully with kicks, came over the top with punch as well, and gets himself a nice win. It's good to have a W over Lungiambula, who's definitely not towards the higher levels of the weight class, but a tough out for anyone because he's a freak athlete. He's super physically strong, and he's scary as hell to look across the cage at, as jacked as he is. Shahbazyan, 25, new gym, switching it up. I think he's coming into his groove. I'm not saying rush him to the rankings, though. Let's take your time with Shahbazyan, but still a fun kid that has an impressive knockout over Brad Tavares, so we can pull through these emphatic moments, and we'll see where his ceiling takes him. But at only 25, I do think the potential is still definitely there to get back to the rankings, and his striking looked crisp tonight, and also didn't have issues with the grappling of Lungiambula. So Shahbazyan, great performance, great win over a guy that he definitely should have beat. He was a massive favorite for a reason. Next fight on the card, Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Chris Daukaus. Guys, the jab of Rozenstruik had Daukaus completely out on his feet in seconds. It was 23 seconds. He got bulldozed. It was like a blitz. Like, this was the Ngannou Rozenstruik, but the contrary was Rozenstruik to Daukaus, an absolute annihilation. Daukaus is known as a stand-up fighter in MMA, but Rozenstruik has legit kickboxing fights, and it showed in this one. Daukaus hit once and it was over. I'll be honest, the Daukaus chin is a concern. I feel bad for him. He goes full-time in fighting, quitting his job as a police officer, and then it's just loss, loss, loss. And they're brutal losses. 3 straight KO losses. The UFC fed him to the wolves. They're giving him these crazy power punchers, and Rozenstruik kills him in the first, knocks him out. It was sick to see Rozenstruik get a big W, and he's an interesting guy in the heavyweight division because he has the power to knock out anyone. For Daukaus, I got to be 100% honest. I would like to see him shred down the fat, and let's get him at 205. Because at heavyweight, I see guys with some fair power in the hand sleeping him. Even on the regional scene, he has a loss to a guy that's just, a heavy-handed power puncher. It seems like if clean punches start landing, Daukaus starts crumbling. Rozenstruik, super impressive, clean-ass knockout in early. 23 seconds. That's fast. Beatdown. The featured prelim, it was Raul Rosas Jr. and Jay Perrin. Listen, Rosas made it look like no problem because this El Nino Problema, this kid's got it. He's really good. At 18, the submission ability, the control, the way he was just able to bully Jay Perrin, and he taps him early. Something that, Mario Batista, who's, notably a quality grappler, wasn't able to do. Rosas does it in a round. This kid's really good. And he's still growing. He's young right now, 18 years of age. He's in high school, and he gets a UFC win. He also looks like he can strike a bit too. He has a striking background. He said that his dad had him and I believe like his brother sparring, and it was whoever shoots for the takedown is a bitch. Like he wasn't allowed to go for takedown. So he's got stand-up experience, and now he's bulldozing people in the UFC, beating them up on the floor. I mean, what he did to Jay Perrin was a dominant grappling display, and at 18 years of age, you can't tell me this couldn't be a future title challenger. He's confident. I like the personality. He's very brash. He talks, but it's respectful confidence though. And I guess brash, I don't know, brash might not be the word. It's definitely confident, talkative, and straight up. Definitely no fear in Raul Rosas Jr. He said he wasn't even nervous for the debut. That's sick. Great win for him. I'm very excited to see this young kid blossom into a potential star. Mexico's got a prospect to keep an eye on, and I'm excited for what's next. Great grappling by him there. Impressive sub. Easily handles Jay Perrin, who was talking mad shit before and got handled. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. First fight on the main card. Holy shit. Ilia Topuria beat Bryce Mitchell's ass. The striking level difference was so clear. Mitchell was getting cracked. He couldn't land takedowns. He did get a takedown, I believe, at the end of the first round. Second round comes, and Ilia Topuria is just doing his thing on Bryce Mitchell on the feet, busting him up. And then he gets grappling control. And then we got Ilia Topuria tapping out Bryce Mitchell. That's huge, man. Topuria's strength is crazy. I want to make sure that I'm not going to say it wrong. It's arm triangle, right? Yes, arm triangle choke, round 2. 3 minutes in, and he had good control as well, ground and pound. Ilia Topuria put it on Bryce Mitchell, and these guys better watch out because Topuria's 25. And Bryce Mitchell was a nasty prospect. It's weird, too, with the fight. They had him listed at 15-1 on the UFC official record there. I know he's got a loss on Tough, but it was interesting to see them count it there at the introduction. Still, Topuria takes the official O of Bryce Mitchell as a pro, and I really think he's somebody to watch, man. The power is unreal. The grappling skill set is there. The confidence is there. He's calling out guys like Brian T-City or Ortega. That's ballsy as hell, and he said he wants a title fight. I don't know about that just yet, but big things in the future of Ilia Topuria. Bryce Mitchell, tough dude, fun guy, but got completely outclassed here in this fight, on the feet and on the ground. Topuria showed him a different level. Excellent win. That's major. Topuria's a problem. Watch out for his hands and watch out for his subs. The next fight was crazy back and forth. Dricus du Plessis puts it on Darren Till early. You're thinking you might get a minute stoppage. Du Plessis has Till pinned against a cage, and he's just ripping punches. Lots of them. And it busted up Darren Till's eye. He had great control in that first round. Darren Till had a couple moments striking late in the round, but we get to the second, and Du Plessis looks like he's got nothing left in the tank. He proved us wrong. I'll tell you that straight away. Du Plessis is getting touched up a bit with the striking, but then still finishes the round on top with the takedown. But he got wobbled a little bit with Darren Till, throwing some quality strikes, some range, some nice elbows. Till looked like he was coming into his own on the feet in the second. Third round comes, and we realize something. Darren Till can't stop a takedown. I don't understand. He's training with Khamzat Chimaev, and he cannot stop a takedown. Du Plessis was like shooting attempts at certain points from so far out of range, and he would still get Till to the floor. Du Plessis, it seems like Darren Till, something got hurt. Maybe it was his knee. That's what they were saying after. I guess maybe his ACL had blown, and Du Plessis still was having striking moments too in that third round. Ends up submitting Darren Till. It's just how it goes, man. The gorilla Darren Till, unfortunately, I feel like he was mildly a bust. For Du Plessis, though, it was a great win. Choked Till out. I feel like Till maybe, I don't know, did he tap quick? He kind of just gave up that back position, and then the choke was just sunken right in. He had no resistance when that third round came, and Du Plessis outworked him and definitely wanted it more. Du Plessis brought up Till had quit in the past, and Du Plessis said he'd never quit, and he broke Darren Till in this one. Great win for Dricus du Plessis. Incredible toughness with this dude. He's come through adversity in a couple fights, and he gets the victory. So I do like Du Plessis, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for Till. Very rough spot. Next one. What a comeback. Santiago Ponzinibbio was getting outstruck clean. He was losing the fight to Morono. I had Morono up 2-0, and I even thought he was winning that third round. He lands a money straight, and I'm telling you, Morono's face was like this, totally crooked, like he froze. His eyes are crossed. It was a crazy knockout. Drops back, Ponzinibbio follows up with a couple strikes. Right away, the ref jumps in and stops it. I saw, I believe, Morono and the team kind of complaining about the stoppage. No, he was done. His brain was just on pause at that point because his face is totally shifted to the side. Ponzinibbio just sent shockwaves through his body. I will say, Ponzinibbio also got dropped. Don't think he didn't get touched up, though. He got dropped twice in the fight. Morono was looking damn good, but Ponzinibbio needs just one. In that third round, Ponzinibbio still had it. And at 36, don't sleep on him. He's still a dangerous motherfucker. The speed is not as good as it once was, but he still carries that crazy power. And in that third round, he can find big shots as the fight slowed down a bit, but he's still getting touched a lot. He took some damage in this fight, and he's taken some shots in, a few fights. Interesting to see what the future holds for Ponzi. Gets a great comeback win, though. Hell of a performance. And if he did end up retiring off that, that's a great win. Morono, he took a big risk coming in. He earned a ton of points with the fans. He looked good, but he did get knocked out. Clean loss, and it snaps that win streak. Good performance by Ponzinibbio late, even though early Morono had him. That tricky striking style with wider shots and some quickness from side to side seems to get Ponzinibbio a bit, but ultimately he was able to fight through the storm, fight through hell, and get himself a sick knockout. Good win for Ponzi. Co-main event of the evening. Guys, this is one with much controversy, and I went back and rewatched it because I did not want to give you guys some half-ass breakdown on it. I'm going to tell you what I thought. I have notes here from when I was watching. Round one, it was clearly Jared Gordon. There was not a question in my mind. Paddy Pimblett saying he thought he definitely had the first two. It was a clear Gordon round one. Gordon landed big hooks, wobbled Paddy early on, and then even when Paddy attacked him, Gordon was not dropped. He slipped, and then Paddy had most of the shots he was throwing blocked. To me, Gordon clean win in that first round. If they say damage trumps all, definitely more damage by him in the first round. 10-9 Gordon. We get into the second. Paddy landed some good punches and some kicks. He finished the round very strong and had Gordon backing up. And it looked like Gordon might have even been hurt. Paddy did have that one sub attempt, that like awkward kind of rear naked arm triangle that wasn't there. Doesn't count for much, but just something to mention. Clinch control for Gordon. And I do feel like he had a couple decent hooks inside, but ultimately there was more damage done by Paddy. He definitely finished the round strong, and I do think he deserved that second round. So going into the third, it's 1-1. The third round is interesting because Gordon, the majority of the time, he's controlling against the cage. Granted, clinch position, not doing a ton with it, not a lot of strikes. On the other side, though, Paddy's attacking with a good amount of strikes, doing more damage than Gordon does on the opposite side. So the quality of strikes are not very high on either side, but the quantity of strikes, I'm favoring it to Paddy Pimblett. Control, but in the least dominant control position of all control positions in MMA, it's pressed against the cage without many shots coming through. So Gordon is, yes, controlling, but not a significant amount of control. Paddy with the peppering shots, and then Paddy also at the end finishes in the most dominant position of the round, has Gordon on the ground against the cage there, and Paddy was kind of looking for the back, throwing a couple shots, some peppering punches still. Significant moment. I still think the winner of the control aspect goes Gordon. The winner of the damage aspect, it's going to go Paddy. Not because he did so much damage with big strikes, but because he was landing a more quantity of strikes, even pinned against the cage. Because being pinned against the cage, let's remember, guys, it's not caused by a takedown. So it doesn't count the same as having full guard even holding and the guy striking from the bottom. We've seen guys win from the bottom from full guard, but it's extremely rare. It was extremely rare in the sport. When you look at it against the cage, I can see how they gave it to Paddy Pimblett. So I said at the end of it, I have to call quantity of strikes over an amount of non-damaging control time in a position that is not all that dominant. I'm scoring this fight 29-28 Paddy Pimblett. I am in agreement with the three judges. They also say damage trumps all. not significant damage in that third round by either guy, but Paddy still doing more damage, throwing strikes. Gordon with that cage control. Paddy also finishing strong. I'm going to agree with the judges' scorecards and say Paddy got it 29-28, but let's point some things out. Paddy Pimblett's chin is incredibly high. Jared Gordon is not known for knockout wins. It looked like he may knock out the Scouser Paddy Pimblett. Paddy's saying Scousers can't get knocked out, and he's really putting that theory to the test every fight with his chin directly there to be hit. As he moves up the ranks, which he's gonna, there's gonna be some savages to deal with, and that chin better be talked, and I don't think it's gonna be. He might run into some serious trouble. For Gordon, gutsy as hell performance, but you can't win the fight just holding against the cage, not doing much. They're not scoring that. I looked through the criteria again. I know damage trumps all, but in a grappling position where it's more stalling, that doesn't necessarily count for much. Yes, it's, pointed up in control time with the statistics, but so control time of me holding you in the full mount and me holding you against the cage equivalent, not even close. So the clinch cage control that Gordon had was not significant enough to beat the offensive strikes coming from Pimblett, as well as the way he finished the round strong at the end. Paddy Pimblett gets the fight 2-1. But I don't know what Paddy's talking about, thinking he lost third. Oh, it's just coasted in the third. But then the first two, he thinks that he definitely won. Because on my card, it was Gordon easy in that first round. But Paddy Pimblett stealing that third round. Now, it's a weird criteria, though. Because, in the older days, years back, it seemed like they'd more so score the side of Gordon winning. But the new change is towards damage trumping all. So the effective striking beating out the minimally effective grappling, even though it's minimally effective striking. Paddy Pimblett for the win. Very close decision, though, in a close fight where he was tested. And it wasn't that crazy, impressive win that he wanted. But still was able to come through some adversity and just by a hair beat Jared Gordon. Let's jump to the main event where things get really weird. Jan Blachowicz, Magomed Ankalaev. Yes, it's a draw. It ends even. And I had to go back and rewatch the big question mark round. So the question mark rounds were round number 1, which obviously could have swayed the fight one way or the other. And the official judges scoring round number 3 unanimously. Round number 3, 2-1 for the side of Blachowicz. So I went back and I rescored. Round number 1, every judge scored towards Jan Blachowicz. That is completely wrong. Ankalaev won that first round. He landed more shots, in close especially. His body kicks, especially the traps. Actually, excuse me, I misphrased that. He won by just a smidge in a close round, not the strikes from close. He actually won more so with the distance kicks, especially the teep kicks coming down the line, especially the rear leg. Both guys landed punches, and Jan had some decent low kicks, but Ankalaev pushed Jan back. And to me, he finished the round with more shots, controlling where the fight was going as well. I give it to Ankalaev landing a bit more in that first round. So the first round, question, it's Ankalaev. Second round, definitely Jan. No debate. Round 3, Jan did land some hard kicks, but Ankalaev touched them back up with shots and did finish on top. Still, the kick damage were the most significant moments. So I give round 3 barely to the Jan side. So now, Jan gets the third and the second. Ankalaev just as the first. 4 and 5, the wrestling side of Ankalaev, and especially that fifth. It was all Ankalaev. You could score that fifth round 10-8. So my scorecard, officially, I said it deserved to be 48-47 or even 48-46. It was 3 rounds to 2. Magomed Ankalaev should be wearing the belt at the end of it. Even Jan, saying he was a little bit, wobbly in the head or whatnot, a little concussed, was willing to admit, yeah, I think I probably lost this one. Ankalaev deserved to win it, guys. It was 3 rounds to 2 Ankalaev. Not a draw. I don't know how a judge also gave it the Jan side too, scoring it 1, 2, and 3. I disagree with that. Ankalaev winning rounds 4 and 5 dominantly, but round 1, he also won. When you go back and rewatch it, you will see Ankalaev deserved the first round. So he's deserving of being the champ. Problem is, it's not like he just beat the champion. So what does the UFC decide to do, and why do they decide to do this? Ankalaev says, maybe I won't fight for the organization again. I don't know, I sound like Rastafari in that. But you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll not fight the organization again. Obviously, he wasn't speaking English. But he said he might not fight in the UFC again, saying that, it was a robbery and this and that is really what he meant. This is my belt. Dana White essentially gave him 2 middle fingers because he just booked Jamal Hill, Glover Teixeira for the vacant light heavyweight belt in Brazil. UFC 283, the next pay-per-view card. That's insane. Glover got blessed with the reward of actually passing on this one and now setting up a championship fight in Brazil. And Ankalaev and Blachowicz are essentially in no man's land. Ankalaev, I don't know if he's out of the UFC contract. He might not be coming back after that. He's going to be freaking out. He deserved to have the belt in a fight that, I guess it made sense for the title. Maybe it was a rush to make a title fight, and the UFC is kind of capitalizing on that. Having especially a guy like Glover, who's more of a, bigger star than a Magomed Ankalaev would be with the belt. But he should be champ. Very unfortunate for Ankalaev. Blachowicz still put a great display on and was super tough, and those low kicks were nasty. But Ankalaev deserved to be champion at the end of it. He won 3 rounds to 2. Guys, it was a hell of a card. I actually had a blast. I was live for the entire thing, so don't miss those fight companions. I appreciate all who joined in. Let's run through the picks and let's talk about it. So first fight of the night, we started off 0-1. I had Koslow over Saaiman. Saaiman got the win. Started off 0-2 because then TJ Brown beat my pick of Erik Silva dominantly. That was a rough one. But we come back from the trenches. 1-2, Billy Q then beats Alexander Hernandez by knockout. Sick win for him there. Chris Curtis beats Buckley by KO. Dog of the week that I called comes through. So we're now 2-2. Things are looking good. Very confident pick. Edmen Shahbazyan gets a knockout win over Lungiambula. We're 3-2. Things start really looking up. Next fight, lock of the week. Jairzinho Rozenstruik quickly knocks out Chris Daukaus. This one made me happy, I'll be honest with you guys. I was super stoked. 4-2 now, so the record really got going. Raul Rosas Jr. beats Jay Perrin. We jump up to 5-2. Rosas Jr. impressive as hell out there, and I'm super hyped for this young kid. So 5-2 record. The prelims looked good. We are 5-2 on the prelims. Main card starts. We turn it 6-2 right away. Club and sub, which I pretty much called. I guess it was club and sub. That's a club and sub, which I called. Topuria gets the win. We're 6-2, riding hot coming into the next fight on the main card. And then I have Darren Till. He had a gutsy effort. Ultimately, Plessis gets the win. Moves me to 6-3, which is unfortunate, man, because I was, I was hoping to really turn up the heat on the main card. But it is what it is. We took a tough loss. Then Morono looks to be on his way for the win. Another underdog that I have. Ultimately, Ponzinibbio with that knockout late. I can't even be upset. It was epic. Mad respect to him. So that brings me to 6-4. The record started looking bad. And then the Paddy Pimblett fight, especially watching live, before I rewatched it, I was like, I don't know. I thought they might score it for Gordon. Paddy still gets the win, and a close one for sure. A rewatched one that I'll say I agree with the cards. Brings me up now to 7-4. I was like, okay, we're doing good. And I should have really finished out 8-4 with the main event being a draw. But we finished 7 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. But that's an 8-4 night. Truly, that's an 8-4 night. It is what it is, though, guys. It was a hell of a card to cover. I'm just glad that they also didn't crush me by stealing those parlays from me. They still moved it forward. They voided the Ankalaev Blachowicz fight. I had a lot of fun covering it all week. The last pay-per-view of 2022. Huge things coming in 2023. I can't wait for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this post-fight show, this full card recap, breakdown, and reaction. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments. More content dropping, as always, every day of the week. So stay tuned for it. Subscribe if you guys are new, and make sure to smash the hell out of the likes. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. And if you don't have anything to say, but just enjoy my content, make sure to drop a W in the chat as well. UFC 282 in the books. And then we look forward to UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Cannonier. Big things coming. Much love, people. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.